Okay. We are learning today the halachot of Hanukkah. Obviously, yeah, not Purim, close to Hanukkah. And a lot of the halachot of Hanukkah, we know a lot of the halachot. So we aren't going to go over all of the halachot, but a few halachot which I feel that people ask from year to year, and these are important halachot. Hanukkah it's a very interesting mitzvah, the mitzvah of lighting candles of Hanukkah. I'll even say it's so unique. I'm not sure if I remember any other mitzvah which is like Hanukkah. So obviously it's a rabbinical mitzvah, and many times the rabbis they try to do mitzvot like the same way, the same thought of the Torah. On Hanukkah, for different reasons, they did it different kinds of mitzvah. Let's give the first example of the mitzvah of Hanukkah. When you wear tefillin on, how many tefillin do you have to wear on your head? One, right? If you did one, you did the mitzvah. It's hidum. It's how many times a day do you have to put the tefillin on the head? Once. If you put it on the rest of the day, it's great, it's nice, but it's not part of the halacha, the built-in mitzvah, that now you have to take on the tefillin and put it on again during the evening or the afternoon. And you do it once, it's the same mitzvah to do it the whole day, but if you do it only for 5 minutes, it's also fine. In the Hanukkah candles, so Chazal said the minimum is to light one candle, right? One candle. But it's better, and then there's a different argument between the Ashkenazim and the Sephardim how to understand that you add candles each day. So on the 8th day, you'll be lighting 8 candles, and Mehadrin, you'll have maybe candles for all of the family, especially according to the Ashkenazi minhag, Ashkenazi custom, that we have you have 10 people in the family, you'll have 10 Chanukiot, 10 menorahs with 8 candles, 80 candles. You don't need a heating system during Hanukkah. Lucky we live here, not in Australia. It's cool nights. All the candles can actually heat the house. We don't try to benefit from them, right? But so that's an interesting mitzvah the Chazal did here with the candles. Can you build a sukkah inside the house? Obviously not, right? Where do you light the Hanukkah candles? Preferably outside. That's the best place to light the Hanukkah candles, outside. But also, if you can't do it outside, it's danger or any other reasons. So you manicho al shulchano v'dayo. It's enough to put the Hanukkah candle on your table, and that's it. So it's a very unique mitzvah, the mitzvah of Hanukkah. And we can say that in some aspect it has two ideas in it, in the Hanukkah candles. One idea is the individual part of the mitzvah. Like most of the mitzvot we have, it's individual part. I did the action of the mitzvah. Another part of the mitzvah, it's advertising. Think how what's the kinds of advertisements it is? Persuminisa, yeah, advertising the miracle. And everyone has a Hanukkah candles outside. That's something amazing. Another very, very unique halacha we have, and that will bring us very soon to the topics of Hanukkah. Most of the mitzvot are individual, which means I shake a lulav, it's my obligation to shake a lulav. Someone else cannot do it for me, right? I listen to the Megillah reading, it's my obligation to read the Megillah. Here we have something special, that someone can read the Megillah and I will listen, and by listening, I fulfill the mitzvah. But obviously, in reading the Megillah, I can't have someone, okay, you go to shul. I'm too tired. I'm staying at home. I drank too much wine tonight for Purim for some reason. And you'll read the Megillah for me in shul, and I'll be fulfilling the mitzvah, although I'm staying at home and I can't hear the Megillah. Do we say such a thing? No. In Hanukkah, yes. An example, and that can be a common example, a husband or wife, both of them have an obligation to light the Hanukkah candles, the same level of obligation. But the obligation is on the house. And as a married couple, we even say sometimes, many times, ishto kegufo, they are considered like one body. So let's say the husband or the wife are late they're staying late in work, they'll be home only around midnight. Can the husband light the Hanukkah candles for his wife, or the opposite? Can his wife light the Hanukkah candles for him? He's not at home. By the time he comes home, the Hanukkah candles will burn out already. He'll be home 3 hours after she lights the candle. So can she do it? Or can he do it? And an amazing answer, maybe surprising answer is yes. The mitzvah of Hanukkah is on the house. So even if someone is now isn't in the house, he's out. Okay, he'll be coming home only late at night. Someone else can light the Hanukkah candle for him in his house. Yeah, so that brings the next halacha, exactly. And here comes the question, quite a common question. Let's say that today we can light the candles, I didn't check, but around 5 o'clock, more or less. That's my guess, around 5 o'clock. That's when we can light the Hanukkah candle. We'll soon discuss until when. Let's first maybe discuss until when, and then we'll go back to that question. So until when can we light the Hanukkah candle? The time mentioned in the Gemara is which means when there's still people walking in the street. And the rabbis estimated that there's half an hour. Why half an hour? There's no electricity outside. The late guys who come home realize there's no wood for the fireplace, so they run out and go and buy some wood or some coals or whatever they need to buy. So half an hour still after it's sunset or after it's dark, after the stars come out, after it's there's still a few people walking outside. Okay, so that's the the best time to light Hanukkah candles is during that time, when there's still people outside. In the first half an hour close to when the stars come out. That's the first.
Friday night you can't do it.
On Friday night you can't do it after the candle lighting, obviously. The question is, when's the earliest you can light the Hanukkah candles? So that brings us another question. What's the earliest time you can light the Hanukkah candles? And that's called Plag HaMincha. You can look at the calendar, a Jewish calendar of the times. It's around more or less an hour before sunset. More or less. Okay, you can check out the Plag HaMincha. But exactly like you said, if I light the candles, it's an hour before it's time, and the candles need to light for at least half an hour, as we know. So I need to put enough oil or candle that can last for an hour and a half. Okay, so the earliest time will be to light at Plag HaMincha, and it needs to last until at least half an hour after Tzeit HaKochavim. Okay? That's the definition in halacha. And here comes a very, very common question. Sometimes, let's say the wife is at home early, or the opposite. Let's say the wife is at home. And now it's 5 o'clock. The sun went down. The stars are starting to come out. And the question is, should she light the candles right away or wait for her husband who will be coming home in another hour? We just learned that the wife can light the candles for her husband, even if the husband isn't here. So should she light the candles by herself or wait for her husband? What do you say? What do you think? So there's more B'Sumanisa the earlier you do it, right? The more people see the candles, the earlier you do it. There's still more people outside. On the other hand, the husband wants to be part of the Hanukkah candles. He wants to see the candles. He wants to light it for all of his family. It's a very family thing. So what do we do? And the answer will be, given by Rav Eliezer Melamed, it depends what time he comes back. He defines 9 as a cutting point. I think it really depends where you are. And if you live in a quiet place, a quiet small settlement, and 6 there's still people outside, 7 there's still people outside, but 8 already nothing, just the dogs are barking outside. So until 8, that's when he should light. And she should wait for her husband, and then they can all light together. But if someone lives in Tel Aviv, in the main street of Tel Aviv, or in Jaffa Street in Jerusalem, there'll be people walking there all night, right? So he shouldn't wait so late. Okay, maybe not until midnight, because she might forget, she'll be tired. But she can wait for her husband to come home. And when she lights the candles with him, or when he lights the candles with him, so they have Pirsum Nisa, and people will see the candles, and people will go out and see the candles, and that's fine. Okay, so, but that's a very common halacha, that we don't always realize that our spouse can light the candle for us if someone isn't at home, if he's in the base or something like that, other reasons. So a spouse can light the candle for him. So that's a very, very common halacha. This halacha comes from a saying of Chazal, Ner Chanukah, Ner Ish Uveito. The candles of Hanukkah is the candles and his house. And it's a very interesting term, house. And some of the rabbis understood that Beito means that you must be in a house in order to light Hanukkah candle. For example, if you say, well, it's a great weather outside now in the desert, there's no rain. Unfortunately, now there's no rain. We'll be happy if there's rain. And you go camping outside. Where do you light your Hanukkah candles? Let's say you have 10 people there at the campsite. Can you light your Hanukkah candles at the campsite? According to many rabbis, especially if you don't have a tent, if you have a tent, maybe it's considered a house. But if you do not have a tent, let's say a soldier who's guarding in a checkpoint, he'll be there the whole night. You have to have a house. And you can light the Hanukkah candles only in a house, only in your house. So if you're camping, you can't do it. There's something about the house being part of the Hanukkah candles. So that's something very interesting about Hanukkah, very unique about Hanukkah. And that gives us to another very, very common question. Another very common question. What happens when you go to a hotel? And many people go out on Hanukkah, right? That's a common thing. You go in Hanukkah, and the question is, where should you light the Hanukkah candle? We have a rule, halachic rule, that my house, even if it's for one day, it's considered my house, right? So if I go to a hotel for one night, for that night, that's my house. Makes sense? I rent a house for that night. That's my house for one night. So a person going to a hotel, where should he light the Hanukkah candles? Next, for sure, at the hotel. Yeah, at the hotel. And the best place to be to light the Hanukkah candles next to the room where he sleeps. The same if I go to my parents, I go to family, someone goes to the children on Hanukkah, and they have their own apartment. Okay, they're living in a different apartment, they get their own apartment. Where should they light the Hanukkah candles? Next to that apartment. For that night, that's their house. Okay, that's their house. Usually, most, I think maybe even all hotels that I know don't let you light candles inside the house, right? They don't want to have fires and hazards and any other problems. So usually they don't let you. And some will see the lobby, the entrance to the lobby, as the entrance to the whole house. So the best place to be, if you can't light in the room, to light at the lobby, because that's the entrance to the house. Okay, that's the best place to be. Another option will be to light at the dining room. That's where they usually let people light. It's not the preferred option, but that's a good option. That's a good enough option. So we discussed spouses lighting for each other. We discussed being in a hotel. And now we will discuss what happens when I'm not in a hotel. I'm going to a Hanukkah party at my friend's house. And I will be back in my house, in my own house. But I'll be back only late at night. What do I do then? What do I do then? Or the question is, let's say the party starts, whenever it starts, at 5 o'clock. And then I'll be there until 12. Until 12. Where do I light my candles? Okay, I'll be back only late at night. So now, in a case like that, the best thing will be one of two options. Or to light Hanukkah candles before I leave the house, if it's after Plaga Mincha, if it's already the time to light candles. And then go to the party, if I'm coming back so late. If I can't do it, so at least one member of the family will light Hanukkah candles at the place, right, at the house, and then he'll light for all the family, as we just mentioned. Ner Chanukah, Ner Sheveto. One member of the family can light for all of the family at the appropriate time. You can also make him a shaliach. He'll be like our messenger. He'll have a mission to light the candles for us. So that's an option we can do. So that's the best thing. If we can't do it, so at least when they come back home, they'll light candles when they get home together, and they'll light candles, and we'll all see the Hanukkah candles. The obligation is to light in your house. It's something. It's like it reminds a bit mezuzah. There's quite a connection between Hanukkah candles and the mezuzah. The mezuzah, the obligation is like on the house, right? As if on the house, because one mezuzah for the entrance is for the whole entrance, and one mezuzah in the room is for the whole room. Doesn't matter if there's one person living in the room or 10 people who are getting like sardines in the room, right? So it's like, it reminds mezuzah, but also like mezuzah, it's chovat hadar, which means it's the obligation of the person who lives inside the house. So it's something in between. It's the people living in the house, but it goes on the house. That's the obligation of Hanukkah. It's everyone from the family has an obligation to light, but one person from the family or the head of the family can light for all of them, or a messenger, shaliach, can light for all of them. Reminds mezuzah in many aspects. Okay, so let's say they, for some reason, cannot light the Hanukkah candles before they go to the party. It's also very common. There's a wedding. I had once a wedding on Hanukkah, during Hanukkah, and the family, I'm sure, was there already from somewhere late afternoon, getting ready, getting prepared. Where do they light the Hanukkah candles? They'll be home only late at night. So in many halachot, we have that you shouldn't do things before you do the mitzvah, because people might forget, right? You shouldn't eat a big meal before tefillot, before davening, and you shouldn't also eat before lighting the Hanukkah candles, because someone might forget. Here that they can't do the mitzvah, so you should set a reminder, set on the phone. Hey, if you have Apple, Hey Siri or Hey Google, depending on what you have, set a reminder. Ask people to remind you. And then they can eat at the party, and when they come home, they will light the Hanukkah candles. If they're sleeping there in that house, okay, and let's say if they're sleeping in the house and they do not have an apartment of their own. As we mentioned, if you have your own apartment, they should light in their own apartment. If they're sleeping there and they don't have their own apartment, so according to the Ashkenazim, everyone lights. They can also light there. It's fine. According to the Sfaradim, that only one person lights for the whole household, so they need to light together with the head of the family. But the head of the family isn't their family. It might be my uncle or my friend. He's not the head of my family. So what do we do then? And the halacha is that the head of the family, you all buy from him a very small amount of oil or candles. It doesn't need to be the equivalent of half an hour, just a small amount to be part of his mitzvah, or he gives you as a present part of it. You give him 10 agorot, 20 agorot, to be part of the mitzvah. Can you do mitzvah 20 agorot? Yes, here, part of lighting Hanukkah candles. So that's what we should do if we are sleeping somewhere else, and for some reason we are not lighting on our own. Another very common question is lighting Hanukkah candles at a party. A very common question. As I said to you I think it was last year, I went to a wedding during Hanukkah, and the Chatan wanted to light the Hanukkah candles. Chatan or the Kala, I don't remember who lit the candles, or one of the family, at the chuppah. Okay, so at the chuppah, we had the Hanukkah candles lighting for us. And the question is, can you light the candles with a blessing, with a bracha? Okay, so if we said it's a mitzvah on the house, right? If I'm camping out, and I'm sleeping with my sleeping bag in the soft sand with my great pillow being a piece of rock, remembering Yaakov Avinu sleeping on a rock in Beit El. Beit El will be very cold. You need a very good sleeping bag to sleep in Beit El during this time of the year. So I can't light Hanukkah candles because it needs to be a house. Shul is an exception. Shul, we light Hanukkah in Shul, and we light Hanukkah in Shul with a blessing, and that's the minhag, that's the custom, and a few reasons for the custom. One of the reasons is that, why do we light the Hanukkah candles? Because remember, Beis HaMikdash, remember the temple, right? That's the whole story of Hanukkah. It's not about just the menorah. It's about finding the olive oil where? In Beit HaMikdash, in the temple, and rebuilding the Mizbeach, the altar, and purifying the menorah, right? So that's the whole story of Hanukkah, is around the temple. And what reminds us today of the temple, of Beit HaMikdash? The small Beit HaMikdash we have, the shul. So a shul is like a small Beit HaMikdash, so we can light Hanukkah candles with a blessing in the shul. And that's the custom, that's a common custom. The question is, can I apply this halacha to any other case where people are gathering with each other? We have now a party and a wedding, a Hanukkah party. Sometimes people who will join the party aren't observant and they will not light the Hanukkah candles at their houses. So that's for sure. Great Pirsum insights, telling about the miracles that happened. But it's not a shul. So what do we do? And as many things we have here a machloket. It's an argument. Some hold the main reason why you can light in a shul, it's because because you are advertising and telling about the miracle that happened. So you can do it also in any other Hanukkah party. If you have many people coming, why not? They'll see the Hanukkah candles, say a blessing. Others hold that the reason we light in the shul is because it reminds us of Beit HaMikdash. That's the main reason we can light in a shul. And that applies only for a shul. We can't do it in other places. If I have a wedding now, there's 300 people around the chuppah, but you can't light the Hanukkah candles with a blessing. You see, Lemaise, what's the practical thing is people, in the end, people light with a bracha. I think that's a very common custom, and people light with a bracha, with a blessing. The best thing to do is, if you're already lighting there with a blessing and you already have so many people there around you, so you should daven at least Mariv. Preferably also Mincha and also Mariv, but daven Mariv. And then it's not a shul, it's not considered as a shul, but it has a bit of an essence of a shul there, right? It's not considered a shul, but you daven the Mariv, you remind yourselves of Beit HaMikdash, of a shul, of us connecting to Hashem, connecting to Kadosh Baruch Hu. So that's a very, very common and practical thing to do when you have a party with many, many people. You light the candles with a blessing, and you daven Mariv beforehand, and then it's really part of a shul, or looks like a shul at least. Not such a common question, but it can be a question. It can be a question. When I was a rabbi in the army, a chaplain in the army, so I was in the Navy. And sometimes the soldiers had to go on a mission in the boat for the whole. Israeli Navy? Israeli Navy. Israeli Navy. And the soldiers had to go on a mission for a boat, on the boat, for the whole night. And if they go beforehand, okay, it's an hour after nightfall, so they can light candles in the base, and then even 2 minutes afterwards, go in the boat and go for mission or practice or whatever they have to do in the boat, and that's fine. But sometimes they have to go in the boat really early. I'm not sure what the schedule was and why, maybe longer. And then go far away with the boat, so we'd light the candles. We'd light the candles. So we have here two questions. One is, will you let yourself light a candle in a boat if you don't want the boat to sink? Well, if it sinks, so at least the fire will turn off from the sea, right? But still, I don't think it's a good idea to have the boat catch on fire. Let's say, even if you have a closed, most places they won't let you to light a candle in a boat, I think. And second, on a plane, right? On a plane. Yeah, okay. And second, as we mentioned, you can light only in your room, but that's not considered a room. So some hold that if you have, let's say, if you're going to cruise, in a cruise, actually, they might let you to light candles. I'm not sure. The cruise, I've never checked, never asked. But the cruise, you have your own room that's considered your house for 1 or 2 or 3 nights, so that you can light Hanukkah candles in a room. Can you light? But let's say you can't light candles. So what will be your other option? Electricity. Electric lights, right? So there's Pirsumei Nisa. So what I actually did for the soldiers, I went and bought small lights. Each one had its own switch. And then they could light, if it's the first night, they'll light only one candle. The second night, they'll light two candles. They're very happy that they had the feeling of Hanukkah also in the boat. That's great. So that's for sure you can do. Pursuing Nisa, you remember Hanukkah, that's great. But do you fulfill the mitzvah doing that? Or if you want to ask more of a practical question, fulfilling the mitzvah, I'm doing the best I can. So I'm doing the best I can, fine. Do I say a bracha? Do you say a bracha on a candle in an electric light? And that halacha, or that question, goes also for Shabbat, although on Shabbat it's a slightly different question. The Hanukkah candles, they're supposed to remind us about Beit HaMikdash, about the candles of the menorah, which were made with oil or something burning. We remember the miracle of finding the oil, right? The tin of oil. So we have to have something which reminds oil, wax or oil, a wick that burns, right? And obviously light that you see. On Shabbat, the main purpose of Shabbat is what? No, of the light of the candles of Shabbat. Shabbat candles by having light. Having light, right? The main goal of the candle of Shabbat is having light. So by Hanukkah candles, the main goal is the actual lighting of thing, something which is lit, which is something which reminds us the temple. But on Shabbat, one of the main goal is having lights. So we might have different answers for the Hanukkah candles. So saying that, what do you think? I can light an electric light with a bracha for Hanukkah. A battery power is a battery powered.
No.
Why not?
You're not physically creating the fire.
So there's no fire. So that's the difference between Shabbat and Hanukkah. According to most poskim, I can't say most poskim if I didn't check. That's the truth. I'll see if he brings here a count of the poskim. Yes, one moment. But as we explain the difference between the Hanukkah candles and Shabbat candles, our main focus is on the light that comes from the candles. And on Hanukkah, our main focus is the candles, okay, which are light like the menorah in the mikdash. So let's see if it brings here a list of poskim to see what's the majority. What is it? This is preferably oil, right? So. So most poskim, he says here most poskim. I didn't count. Sorry, someone says most. That's great. He says Rabbi Eliezer Melamed brings that most poskim hold that you can't light Hanukkah candles with electric lights for a few reasons. First, our sages they had a takana. They said that's how you light candles, and they didn't mention electricity because they didn't have electricity. Also, it doesn't remind us of the candles, and it doesn't remind us of a tin of oil. Okay, it's something totally different. So therefore, obviously, if you don't have any other candles, take a flashlight and light. Take 8 flashlights and light it. That's good. Can you say a bracha? The answer is no. You can't. You cannot say a bracha on Shabbat. On Shabbat, so many hold that you can light candles for Shabbat, especially if you have a battery and it's a halogen. How do you call the lights that have like a not a LED light, the smaller halogen? I think halogen lights they're called. So that reminds a bit of a candle, and for Shabbat, many say you can light a candle with an electric light, and that's for Shabbat. It's a good solution. I have at home like a small set for Shabbat. You put a battery inside; it lasts until the battery dies. And if someone goes to a hotel, especially if they don't let you light candles anywhere, so that's a good solution. For Hanukkah, that solution is just for Pirsumei Nisa. If you see, just one more halacha for that, you see cars, usually Chabad cars, driving around the city with the with the big menorah on the roof of the car. It's an electric menorah, obviously, real candles will blow out. You can't be yotze by that. You can't fulfill the mitzvah by this. Obviously, it's very nice. It's Nisa. It tells people about Hanukkah. It's a great thing to do. It's a great thing to do. But that's not how you fulfill the mitzvah of Hanukkah. And maybe when we get to Hanukkah, as we're getting closer to Hanukkah, we have just a week until we'll be lighting the candles. So we started with Hanukkah has something personal, something which I do to make myself with more light, inspire myself, and something which is very communal. I'm trying to also inspire others, bring others, light to others, and we can take this idea of Hanukkah, not just for the candles, but for every part of our life. How do I inspire myself, and how do I also shine light for others? What is it?
It's Wednesday.
Yes, we have a week to Hanukkah. Okay, so have a great English.